think.
But the reason that we're kind of focusing on quarterbacks and the draft is because in the last couple of days, it's become all more real that there's, and it all kind of started. I would say it all kind of started. I mean, obviously, we know with the Kirk Cousins not getting the extension, it did start there, but it really started when you start seeing the Daniel Jeremiahs. You start seeing Charles Davis. You start seeing the Athletic. I think there's another big insider group. These guys putting up mock drafts consistently with the Vikings taking quarterback in the first round. The first one was Daniel Jeremiah saying the Vikings stick and pick at 23 with Hendon Hooker. I don't think that's likely. But then, of course, you saw a bunch with us trading up into the top 10 to grab Levis. So you look at that and you kind of put pieces together and you start to think like maybe the idea of going after a quarterback isn't that unrealistic. And then, of course, the news of the day drops yesterday right here. Just kind of picking some stuff up from an article here inside the Vikings on Fan Nation. This is a report by Ben Gessling. So basically, we'll just kind of read through some of it. Sense I've gotten is that they didn't want to commit as long as what he was looking for. So basically, what I understood from reading this and kind of seeing what was going on Twitter is that Kirk Cousins wanted 2024 and 2025, and he wanted them all fully guaranteed, to where we were thinking, you have 2023, give him 2024, and then maybe non-guaranteed money in 2025 or just no 2025. But that's kind of what he wanted. They go to talk about a little bit of age here. And this is the thing that really sticks out to me. They're at least willing to look at the possibility of, do we go with a bridge starter? Do we go with a young quarterback? They're willing to look at options in conjunction with Kirk Cousins rather than committing to 3 or 4 more years. And this one here, I also heard he wasn't asking for $40 million, which is, I'm interested to see what his idea of like a hometown discount contract was. Like if he's thinking mid 30s or low 30s, or if he's thinking even less than that, but he just wanted it all guaranteed. Who really knows? And then he already talked about flexibility. And then this part here was what really got me. The other piece of this is they haven't had this idea of a young quarterback on a rookie contract in a long time. And I think there's some intrigue in the building with that idea. What would it look like financial hack if we're paying a starter $7 to $8 million a year rather than the $30 million a year? And if you do happen to get it right, then it is intriguing. And that's kind of what we're look with all these prospects. Any quarterback, you don't know what it's, you don't know if a quarterback's going to pan out or not, right? Like it's the biggest question mark in football, because you will, as we're seeing now in most drafts, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, like if you take away like the whole like the impact of the quarterback position, they're probably not first round. I mean, they have first round potential, but they're probably not first round talents, right? But with the way the quarterback position is, they're going to go from being maybe like high second round talent to top 10 picks because of what you get from the quarterback position. So yeah, I don't know. I am intrigued to see what's going to happen. I mean, obviously the Lamar Jackson rumors are out there as well at this point. I'm not in on Lamar Jackson, but if they decide to go get him, I will support it, because would be curious to see what a guy like Kevin O'Connell could do with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson.
Justin, you said 2 years, 75. That's what Kirk wanted. Is that what that is? Skol Mafia, we are stuck with Kirk. We might get a late round quarterback. Stop it, Skol Mafia. That ain't happening. It's obvious, man. It's time to move on from Kirk Cousins. Everybody knows it. The organization knows it. Obviously, if he's going to give us a deal, the Vikings would have taken that immediately. If they didn't want to go to or in a different direction, you brought up Lamar Jackson, you brought up the rookie quarterback thing, which is a good point. What you ended there in that article was that sounds like there's a lot of people who are really intrigued with the idea of having that quarterback on a rookie contract, which obviously, like you said, it would be anybody hopes for that, but that idea makes it a lot harder for me to think that Lamar Jackson is going to end up being a Viking, because then obviously we're going to pay him even more money, and he also wants it guaranteed, so there's going to be a higher risk for him. But
I don't even think it's straight up that teams necessarily is like ready to move on. I think it's more of we'll just see what happens. Yeah, like you'll be here, so I mean, if you want to come back, you like it here, you wouldn't need to move your family. Great. If you play well this year, get us to an NFC Championship game, we'll look at it. Or
I thought it was 2 years.
If we don't get our guy, we'll look at it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I thought it was 2. What we were willing to give 2 years, but he wanted 3.
Well, 2 years added on to the one that he already had.
Oh yeah, okay, I got you. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it seems like it's time to it seems like the organization is ready to kind of move in a different direction. And I don't know. I know the do you have those by chance? The Lamar Jackson odds?
Yeah.
I know we're second. What? Yeah.
This was from bookies.com. I know so I've seen a couple different ones. I don't necessarily know like which one's the best, but
Minnesota Vikings second best odds for Lamar Jackson. Tennessee Titans #1, which they could really use him, even though they just got Malik Willis, but he's a 3rd-round pick. Ravens at plus 500 now, and then obviously Patriots, Colts, Falcons, Lions, and the field. Yeah, man, it's crazy. I would not expect us to be all the way up there. It's just it's not a secret anymore. Everybody knows the Vikings are ready to go new with a different quarterback. I don't know if it's going to be Lamar Jackson. I don't know if we're going to be willing to give, the first two or the 2 first-round picks, that price tag, plus how much he's going to cost. And especially if we have people in the building who want him to, or who are interested in getting a rookie quarterback and kind of building a team around, someone cheaper. Cause it is true, man. I mean, you get a $7 to $8 million quarterback who can play, which isn't a tall task, to play better than Kirk Cousins, or at least win more than Kirk Cousins. That'd be huge for our team, especially when it comes down to paying guys like Justin Jefferson and stuff like that. So it'd be really interesting to kind of see how this rolls out, man. I mean, I think I'm more on I'm still on the Hendon Hooker thing. Like, I would rather trade back, take a chance on Hendon Hooker this year.
It's much more low risk for sure.
It's the lowest risk,
and you probably get another pick with it too. If you're going to trade back into the 2nd round or something, you probably get
right
that plus another plus a 2nd round pick with it.
So I'm still on that train. Yeah. Unless, I don't know. I mean, it'd be, if we traded up and we went and got who we think is our guy, it'd be exciting.
Right. But of course, as we know with Vikings fans, half the fan base would hate it. Half the fan base would love it. So,
I mean, but once it happens, like the ones that will hate it, like, it's happening. Something's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be this year, next year. Something's going to happen. So one side of the fan base is just going to have to dislike it more than others. It's the side of the fan base I'm not on. And they're just going to have to deal with it. Like, what do you do? Right. He's gone.
Yeah. Well, even just drafting the quarterback, if it's not the one you want, people that have been harping, like, go get a quarterback, draft a quarterback, start over. And they start over. But that's not the guy I wanted. So what are you doing? Yeah. You don't know what you're doing. It's like, you got to accept it. And that's why, that's kind of part of the reason why I am a little higher on Levis, just because from what people are saying, Kevin O'Connell likes him. So for me, it's just like
his arm is crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. And the other things you can learn. I mean, obviously there is some players that are just instinctually better, like the Patrick Mahomes of the world, like just in the pocket, like they just know when to move, when to step up, when to roll out, the Russell Wilsons of the world as well, like those type of quarterbacks. But with others, it comes with time, it comes with learning. And if you sit there and you watch Kirk Cousins, you can be like, okay, like, I'm Will Levis, I'm 24 years old or whatever. I want to do what he does, but just better. Like, he doesn't move a lot. I can use my athleticism. And Kevin O'Connell, being the coach he is, could probably be like, probably put him through some, like, they gotta have something in order to work him through some of those issues.
I'd be willing to bet we are Lamar's #1 choice, if you could honestly state it. Yeah, especially out of those players, because Tennessee, they have nothing for wide receivers. You get Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. If I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm just Justin Jefferson by himself. I'd be pumped to play for us, man. And it's, you don't really change your colors much. You actually get the better version of purple. So I think Lamar Jackson definitely would like us going there. I don't know on the Lamar Jackson thing, though, as far as me actually would want him, I feel like it's not the best fit for our offense. We would have to change things and move things more around him,
or you'd have to like Justin Jefferson, or you'd have to develop him to fit the offense, which is the idea I like better.
Yeah. And you might have to do something like that, which I don't think is the best case scenario for us, but there's no question. Like, I think he's incredible talent. He was the MVP. He's only 26. If he came in here, I do think it makes our team better, especially to try to win. So if we got him, I'd still be pretty pumped, but it would be, it would just be such a different type of offense. We'd have to change so many things. And like, our idea of what our offense is going to look like is going to be so different, which I don't know if I want that for sure. But I think Lamar Jackson's just talented enough that if he came in, I'd still be excited. Would I rather go rookie? I don't know if I think if it came down, I think, like I said, Hendon Hooker, trade back, safest bet. If he doesn't work out, maybe you can tell in the first year, second round pick, no big deal. You can still go get your guy the next year if you feel like it. So I like that. That's safe. But I think I actually know for a fact I would rather trade for Lamar Jackson than trade up for Levis. That's where I'm at with that. Even though there's risk with Levis. Like the chances he ends up anything close to Lamar Jackson is extremely slim. To think that he comes in this league and becomes an MVP is so slim, and it's going to cost you other than the money, but it's going to cost you similar price tag as far as moving up goes.
But here's the thing. Will Levis was dinged up a little bit last year, finished the season. Played, I believe he missed a couple games.
He is bigger.
But with Lamar Jackson, Nick Mullins has to get a good handful of reps in practice then, because he's going to be on a moment's notice. He's going to have to be out there playing 6 games.
Hey, you never know. That's what you said about Delvin Cook last year. Look at him. Didn't get hurt for a single game.
Yeah. Wasn't as effective as you'd like either, though. But
David did Cousins to Baltimore for Bateman and a 4th. That's interesting. So that's without us getting Lamar Jackson. That's just a straight up trade, and then we go pick up a quarterback in the draft or something. I would take a chance on Bateman. Cousins, I feel like we should get more for Cousins, though, to be honest.
Yeah. But would Cousins also say, I want to go play for that team? You're going to trade me your best receiver and Bateman?
Yeah.
I want to go play for them. No.
And that's another thing that's one thing for sure. Yeah. If Cousins goes somewhere, for sure, he's going to want to go somewhere that at least has some sort of talent, but there's got to be part of him, as far as like him having this no trade clause or whatever, part of him has to want to, he already knows we don't want him long term. So if someone else is out there going to offer him that, I could see it being pretty intriguing for him, depending on where. I think there's more open teams to trade in for Kirk Cousins now than there was with just the 49ers, is what we kind of all thought. Just because of the situation that's came, like he has to make a decision. Like if someone's willing to give him that 3-year fully guaranteed somewhere else, I think he's taking that trade.
I would kind of have to agree with that. I wouldn't mind.
I think Cousins. I would take Bateman, but right now Bateman's probably worth like a 3rd round pick or 4th round, and that's just based off of potential. Because he was a 2nd round pick, right? Or was he a late first? He was a late first. So maybe a 3rd round pick.
But I mean, he's the thing. He's got to get him back in the state where it all went well for him. That's what you got to do. Bring Bateman back home, Minnesota. Bring Tyler Johnson in. Why the hell not?
Yeah, I know. It's so funny because Tyler Johnson, I wanted so bad, and I was pissed when he went to Buccaneers, and then he seemed like he was going to be that guy, and he just fizzled out big time since then. But still, it would be sweet to have Bateman. I still think he's really talented. But Bateman's someone else who seems to be constantly getting injured.
Yeah.
Bateman smoked his GM.
He did.
And that's going to be a thing, too. It'd be interesting to see if Lamar Jackson came here, what he can do with JJ, because that's the whole thing, right? Was Bateman saying, like, you can't blame the system on us, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, we're taking the wrath, like, Lamar Jackson never has any wide receivers.
He needs, better receivers.
And that is true. That does happen. And it is something, like, that's why I'm not convinced. I do think for sure, like, Lamar Jackson hasn't had the best wide receivers, but you can't say he hasn't had Mark Andrews, Bateman, and Hollywood. That's a solid group. That's better than a lot of.
But I don't think they've played had together games where they all played together.
I think they have because Hollywood just got.
So. Unless Bateman was hurt most of last year. Andrews was out for a good stretch last year.
Well, last year Hollywood got traded during the draft. So the year prior to that is when I think Bateman also might have been hurt during that season. But I think there was time during that season where all three of them might have been on the field at the same time. I don't know for sure, though. There might not have been.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, all I know is at the end of the day, it's like, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's not endless possibilities, but there's a ton of options of what they can do at quarterback, and a lot of different avenues to go do it. Like, and everything's going to have a level of risk, and no matter what the move is, there's going to be uproar. Cause like we said, not everybody, and that's just the general way of the world when it comes to anything, not even just sports, is not everybody's going to love every decision that's made. But I've been one of those people since Kwesi came in, and, he's done some unorthodox things so far. Right. Yeah. But I've been one of those people, I'm just like, let's just sit back. Let's wait and see what happens. There's got to be a reason for everything. Like, if he decides to go if he jumps up, let's say he just says, screw it, jumps up to 3 before the draft starts. I'm getting one of the quarterbacks at 3. Like, I'll go all the way up. Let's see what happens. Like, it's going to be okay. That's a risk. That's
that
bold.
Would be risky,
but
yeah.
if
Dude,
if you guys are in love with the quarterback in this draft and you think you can get him at 3, then by all means, I'll see what you can do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also you got to take the heat where if you go up and you get Levis and he sucks, you're going to get a lot of hate.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And he is the one that kind of scares me. Even though Anthony Richardson would be it. Anthony Richardson still would be such a, like, I'd be excited about that, but it would be so, like, everybody would know it'd be scary, you know? It'd be just so obvious that every single person would be like, that was, you really went for the home run on that one for sure.
But like Richardson for this team would be one of those guys where if we could have gotten Kirk Cousins for another year, would have been perfect. Because you sit back, you take what you know about quarterbacking,
right,
and you sit and you watch a guy who operates from the pocket, and you take what you can learn from him, incorporate it into your own game, and just kind of try to mesh them together with the help of obviously Kevin O'Connell and the other offensive coaches as well. So I just don't love Richardson on a year where he's going to get 1 year to sit. Like I don't know. I don't love it.
So David, do you think so you think Kirk is going to be like traded? Like before the season starts, you think he's gone?
I don't think anybody would trade for him until. I mean, I think if someone's going to trade for him, it'd be before the draft. I don't think they wait till after.
Maybe after, if someone didn't get like a quarterback.
I mean, maybe
they wanted potentially,
but
it'd be interesting. I don't know. I'm down. I think
it'd be nice
if we had a young.
They might want more picks this year. Unless they do want to make a move next year for somebody. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I mean, if you can get Caleb Williams, you got to do that. Even if you got Hendon.
Odds are the worst team in the league is going to get Caleb Williams next year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the Caleb Williams thing is like, that's why you don't look into those kind of quarterbacks.
Well, that's another thing.
Can never be that shitty, you know?
Right. But that's the thing. Other things you see on Twitter are, let's just wait till next year. That's not the best option though. Like waiting till next year. Everybody, I mean, you think all the bad teams are going to think, let's just wait till next year, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't expect. I know. I mean, you see a lot of what people are saying. Like, are the Vikings going to be good? Are they going to be bad? I think they're going to be pretty solid. I think they're going to be I personally think they'll make the playoffs again next year, whether it be a wild card or a division champion.
Oh yeah.
I don't see us picking early.
What's going on, Skol TY?
Yeah, welcome in. Thanks for joining. I just don't foresee. Like, I just don't like the way of thinking. Let's just wait till next year. Like, because what happens if these guys you're looking at Caleb Williams, looking at Drake May. What if, and this is a big what if they both come out this year and they're terrible? They're like, oh, these were the guys we're waiting for next year. And now they're not going to be very good anymore. I always think back to Matt Barkley, the year he was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. He goes back to school, hurts his shoulder. And what's he doing now? Is he even on a team anymore? Is he playing in the USFL? I don't know what he's even doing with his life right now. Like,
and from an opposite standpoint, Justin Herbert, he was considered to be the number 1 prospect going into the draft with Joe Burrow and all those guys, but he ended up having like somewhat of a lackluster year and obviously dropped to 10? Was it 10 that he ended up dropping to, or 6?
Something like that. Yeah.
7, something like that. But he ended up dropping, and he actually ended up still being pretty good. So, I mean, that's an idea of Levis, for instance, right? Last year, he had a great season, even had 90 PFF grade, and then came out this year. And I guess, he was super hyped after that. And then this year just came down
he was hurt,
quite a bit.
Up an offensive coordinator.
And it shows a lot how well he did that year before, though, because he was still projected like top 5 quarterback up until now is when he's kind of his stock is kind of falling, but people loved what they saw the year before. So I don't know. That's one interesting thing. Devin Van Stoughton, have you been in here before, man? Welcome in. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Speaking of that, let me just bring this up one more time. We're giving away Justin Jefferson rookie card. All you have to do is hashtag Skol in the chat to win it. All we ask, like the channel or like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Caleb Williams will be good. Yeah, I think Caleb Williams is going to be it's like in a very obvious good. I haven't really dived too much into his actual gameplay. I've mostly, been enamored by his highlights, which are crazy because I've even looked at his wide receivers for this draft, including Addison. And all you can see is Caleb Williams just making plays, dude. No worry, Gary. What's going on, man? Yep, hashtag Skol. You on it.
We got first time in chat. Good.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate you hopping in here. Yeah, dude. Hashtag Skol. You see these hashtags if you want to try to win a Justin Jefferson rookie card. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I think Caleb Williams is going to be super good, but it's going to be that thing. And obviously, he just had a Heisman season last year, and the year before, he played really well for the Sooners. So I don't think he's just going to suck this year. I know East Coast thinks that he's going to drop off. He knows more than I do, but
that was just kind of an extreme example, like what the big what ifs. I just don't like the whole like wait till next year thing. Like I'm just not a huge fan of that thought process. Personally.
Yeah,
that's especially in a year like this where.
And there's going to be other quarterbacks that actually increase their value.
Right. But there's like an air of mystery this year. Like next year, if we don't bring back Kirk Cousins, we go into the draft, people are going to be like, oh, Minnesota wants to trade up. Okay, let's take everything they've got. I mean, obviously, if you're trading up, that's kind of the thought process. But going into the draft this year, like it could go either way. Like, Cousins isn't extended past the season, but who's to say they don't extend him at the end of the season? They could stick where they're at. And they could go no quarterback at all. They could trade back. They could trade up. But if we let Kirk Cousins go, then there's going to be that thought process around the league. Like Minnesota is going to try trading for a quarterback. Like
right. I feel like getting another quarterback this year in the draft does make an early one. Like a third rounder doesn't count. I don't care. Like unless it's Hendon Hooker somehow in the third round. I don't think any of these other quarterbacks, like that's not taking a real chance. And I do think it's really come to, I mean, with this whole Kirk Cousins stuff going on, it really seems like we kind of feel like we need to go get a quarterback this year. Otherwise, if we're taking, it's a gamble. Like you were just saying, it's kind of a gamble to wait until next year to go and grab a quarterback.
Especially because a lot of people,
you don't know how it's going to be. Like you said, you don't know.
And a lot of people didn't think we were going to be 13-4 this season.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if we come out and do that again, not saying it's going to happen. But if we do, then it's like, oh, now we're down at the end of the first round again. So trading up is going to be all that more difficult.
Right. So that is going to be the risk. Like, do you wait till next year and then Kirk's contract is literally done and then he's a free agent and then he's a free agent before the draft too, by the way. So yeah, you literally have no quarterback. And what if you don't get anyone in the draft? And then now we're sitting there with Nick Mullins or whoever.
Which I mean,
unless we make a trade for a quarterback,
which I mean, definitely a possibility. People would like, but I'm just not in that mindset. I don't want to see this team suck I don't want to see them suck with Nick Mullins for 4 seasons or 3 seasons or whatever. If they make a move and draft a quarterback and they suck, then you're like, okay, tried and failed. Like we tried to get a guy, didn't work out, whatever, move on to the next one. But if it's the point of we're just going to roll with Nick Mullins and see what happens, I ain't up for that. Justin Jefferson isn't going to be up for that. Like I don't know. I personally just don't love the idea of thinking about, well, yeah, we'll just let Kirk's contract go out. Well, if we get a guy, great. If not, we'll just roll with a bridge quarterback for 2 years. Well, we'll probably suck. But then in 2 years from then, though, when we have a lot of cap space and nobody on the roster, then we'll be able to make a move.
Right, which I don't see. I mean, the whole competitive rebuild thing, Quezzy's been saying it since he's been here. I don't think that's going away at all. I think that's why it seems like we would go after a guy this year or trade for someone like, Devin just said. We just talked about it a little bit before you got on, but I think pay Lamar, then trade for Cousins about a load of mid to late round picks. We were just talking before, Casey isn't as big of the Lamar thing. I think I like Lamar a lot. I think he's really talented. If he came here, I think it'd make us a better team. But I do think we don't have
12 games a year.
For 12 games a year, as long as he can make playoffs and he can actually get a win. Work out a trade for Cousins. So yeah, I mean the trading for Cousins. So are you guys, anybody in the chat, like you guys would be cool with trading Cousins like this year? So get a rookie quarterback, trading Cousins this year. Is that something people in this chat? Because obviously if we did that going into the season,
I think the biggest thing is if you were trading Cousins, it'd probably be a situation when you bring Lamar Jackson in, I would think.
Right. Or another, like an actual quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Unless you got up and we're not going to. You can't. You can't get.
I guess it all depends on what kind of money Lamar's looking for. Like if he's looking for $40 million a year with the money that Daniel Jones got, that $40 million for Lamar is looking like okay, I can handle that.
But then
if he's looking for Deshaun Watson money, no. But he said himself that was just that he never said he was looking for Deshaun Watson money. He just said he was looking for something more than what he was offered,
and he wants it to be guaranteed.
Right. Which is I get why, because I think a lot of players do want fully guaranteed, but also it's also kind of the thought process where it's like I want fully guaranteed contract just in case I get hurt. I think he's kind of hedging his bets as well.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Lamar's going to be, I don't think that's going to happen for us, even though we are, like Priory said, we're the second favorites bet to snag him after Tennessee.
But also, I think for me, the fact they brought back Nick Mullins really sells that they're keeping, because Kirk Cousins and Nick Mullins are very similar.
Yeah.
To where I don't think you bring back a Nick Mullins to be your backup for Lamar Jackson. If you bring Lamar and you got to switch up
I don't think
offense.
you would have known for sure.
Kevin O'Connell would have to revamp
Lamar Jackson, you know?
Yeah, but plus Kevin O'Connell would have to revamp his entire offense in one offseason instead of keeping Cousins and eventually growing a Will Levis type or Hendon Hooker into this offense.
Right. Everyone's on Lamar, so it's like two teams bidding, pay now and watch, like Cousins steal. It gets better every year. It'll be interesting to see how that rolls. That's what's so weird about this Lamar Jackson thing, though. It's because, it's funny because everyone wants kind of a quarterback that can be mobile, and he's been the best one at that, and an MVP. But still, people are worried about paying him. So it's, every single year, especially since the deal that Deshaun Watson got, it's kind of like every quarterback wants fully guaranteed. They want the big extension, the big money. And that's what Lamar wants. And now nobody's kind of willing to give it to him. So it's kind of weird how we'll see how salary kind of goes from here, because he's going to actually probably end up getting paid less than these quarterbacks did in past years, potentially, like as far as compared to everybody else.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's kind of, that's kind of the point. That's why I wouldn't like to see it happen.
I don't think, and with Lamar, I don't think the Vikings came in here like, oh, let's have a chance at Lamar. It's more of like, oh shit, this is not going well for Baltimore and Lamar. Now, I don't think Nick Mullins is going to be, they're not going to give a shit. And I think any quarterback could come in here and play well with the offense that we have. But
I have a sneaky feeling we're trading up for quarterback. I would love Jackson. He proven. I think I don't know, for some reason I'm buying into the trade up. Like, I mean, and I think
buying into the quarterback thing to some extent. Like, I know we're going to want to, it's just, is there going to be someone there? Is it going to be worth it? Because like what Casey said, if not, then we're going into next year's season with Kirk Cousins on finishing up his contract, and then he'll be gone in free agency. And then we'll be going into that draft unless we trade for someone without any quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that's a scenario you'd rather not have. So, and it's obvious the Cousins thing, and with us, it's, I think we're going to go our different ways for sure. In my opinion, unless Kirk Cousins brings us to the Super Bowl or whatever, right, and then we sign him to an extension.
But I mean, if he gets us to the Super Bowl, though, then his price just goes like through the roof. He's like, remember that deal I was going to offer you guys? Yeah, that's gone now. Like, you want me?
Yeah, but let's be realistic here, and he ain't bringing us to a Super Bowl. So that's like the whole point, Quezzy knows it. KOC knows it. Otherwise, he'd been extended by now.
Cousin wants us to help out a pay cut for 3 years. That was the report that he there was something out there that he would he would have agreed to taking a discounted contract, which again, I mean, would it have happened? Would it have not? Who really knows? But the Vikings kind of turned him away.
Wild score. Are you talking like Minnesota wild score, or are you saying?
I would assume wild scored.
Wild scored. Nice. The Wild been on a heater without Kirill, which is interesting. Hit rate on quarterbacks past 12 is like 30%. Why trade up for that?
We got him at 10.
Yeah, but you got to take a chance. I think you got to take a chance, though, man. I think, in my opinion, like, we're never going to find a franchise quarterback if we don't go trade up. If we don't go after our guy, there's a real good chance that we trade up and we go for a rookie quarterback and it doesn't work out. But our franchise has been around for what, 60 something years now, and we haven't won a Super Bowl, and we got to change something.
Hey, how
trading for quarterbacks and all that stuff hasn't worked so far. I think how do you take that chance at a young quarterback that we really like? I think.
How do you think the Powerball gets up into the billions? That's got a hit rate of like 0.00001%. People
and we still do it once in a while.
Buy in. Sure, we're talking $2 compared to millions, but
be
what it be.
No, man, I think. Yeah, just give that same thing for Lamar, but that comes with risk too, though, because
I don't love the durability of Lamar Jackson with what you'd be paying him. That's what bothers me.
And it's fully guaranteed, meaning, we're going to be strapped for cash, kind of like we've already been since we've had Kirk Cousins. And what if he gets hurt or whatever. Like
would you have that risk with any quarterback? For sure,
if I knew for a fact that Lamar Jackson was going to come here and not get injured and he'd play out his 4 years or whatever, I would take that in a heartbeat. But I don't know for that. That's almost as big as a risk as maybe not. If you went to trade up for a Levis or Richardson, maybe that's a little bit bigger risk. But trading up for your quarterback that you really like and you've done a lot of your due diligence on, it might be a less of a risk than going after Lamar Jackson and paying him 4 years guaranteed with $45 million a year or whatever he's asking.
Yeah,
potentially. I don't know for sure, but I mean, in my eyes, I mean, that's also a risk. And yeah, I mean, that's a good point too. Obviously, like I said before,
you should have all caps when too.
Yeah, when healthy. That's the only thing. It's the healthy. It's a healthy. And yeah,
what don't you like about Levis? I'm actually just curious, like straight up, what people don't like about.
So this is my thing with Levis, which Casey can contest to actually, is when I watched his film and stuff. The one thing I noticed about him, even though Levis has a massive arm, he just had his pro day. He threw 65 yards, no problem. His release is beautiful too, by the way, super fast. That's like probably one of the fastest release I've actually seen. The thing with him is he does not seem to understand, like he cannot really tell when there's pressure around him, and he doesn't avoid it and make plays with his leg and extend plays with his arm. That's something I do not see in Levis. That scares me, is he just doesn't, just like Kirk Cousins kind of. Kirk Cousins doesn't really have the eyes in the back of his head thing. The difference is Levis is a lot more athletic than Kirk, but he doesn't seem to use it. He doesn't seem to use it to avoid pressure and try to extend the play. Something you'd see if you watch Bryce Young highlights. He does it all the time. Mm-hmm. You see all the great quarterbacks who can avoid that pressure. But that's the thing with Levis that scares me.
Fair. But here's the thing, though. Like, if the Vikings did trade for Lamar, I would be excited because, like you said, when healthy, for sure, the guy's a tremendous athlete who does have ability to throw the football. And again, maybe if he did come in with a Justin Jefferson instead of whatever they were trying to piece together in Baltimore, maybe something would just click with Lamar and he'd become a better passer. Maybe Kevin O'Connell could see something that he could tweak in his game to help him out. For sure, yeah. But like, if he came here, like I said, I would be excited. But I just don't love the money that you'd be paying for a guy who might play 12 games a year.
Right. And then Kirk 2.0, I think like he has, the thing with Levis though is he actually has the ability. He has the ability to run for sure. So that's like one different thing. Like I would say and I like his arm probably better than Kirk. And I like Kirk's accuracy definitely a lot better than Levis right now. But Levis does have the ability to run, which I do like. Both of them are not good at sensing pressure at all. I will give both of them that. So I like that about Levis, that he's willing to run. And Levis has you could probably say arrogant to ego status of confidence potentially, where you don't really see that out of Kirk Cousins other than, when he's wanting the guaranteed money and stuff like that behind the door ego that he might have.
Just draft him a good backup. Because I mean, obviously Baltimore probably would have been better if Huntley didn't get hurt at the end of the season as well. Like they were out there, their third string quarterback. Like that sucks. And I'm a huge John Harbaugh guy. I mean, obviously the guy's been in the league. The guy's been the coach of the Ravens for 12 years now. Yeah, won the Super Bowl in 2012. Like he's a tremendous coach. And like, I mean, the fact
that's what we need. We need, if he was our coach, he could maybe help Kirk Cousins.
But the fact that team was able to go from Flacco to Lamar Jackson in the same season and make it work just shows how good of a coach Harbaugh is over there, and what a good staff that he.
And the best thing about it is we got someone who's even better. KOC, man.
But if we get Levis on a rookie contract, we certainly fill out the roster. Exactly. And that's the point too. And then plus, I mean, you'd probably have to trade 2 first rounders to go get him, right? Like you go get him and he's terrible.
Ours and next year's, right. Probably.
Let's say you go get him and he sucks. Like
if he makes it past the top 10, if he makes it to the top 10, it might cost more than that if not.
Yeah, but I mean, if you make the move up and you go get your guy and he sucks, it's terrible. Like you wasted 2 first round picks. Like that's not like if he ends up being like kind of how the 49ers, it sounds like they feel about Trey Lance right now. Like, oh boy, this ain't great. Like, sure. Then at least worst case scenario is you only you gave up your first rounders, but the money isn't that bad. You can just let him go and move on to your next one, whether that be Kwesi still here picking or not. But I don't know. I just kind of. Right, but coaching good though. I mean, I get it. Sometimes like awareness is a thing that some people just have, But I do think,
I think it's
by
actually
watching the game from afar, I do think you can develop it.
Like when I looked at the quarterbacks this year, I honestly was my number one thing that I looked at, and it's because it was like the thing that drives me the most nuts about Kirk Cousins is his awareness, not just his awareness, but even when the pressure's coming, is to roll out of the pocket. You know, we probably say this at least once every show. The last throw of the season when the interior got bull rushed, he definitely could have easily rolled out and made a play with his arm there, and he didn't. And that's something that I kind of see with Levis that worries me with him as well, because that's all it took. Like he could have easily rolled out and he would have had all the time in the world to throw to somebody.
But he wants to stay quarterback. He's not helping a rookie. The old adage, watch and learn.
KOC sitting behind Kirk be great for Levis. So it'd be interesting. I don't know. That's why I'm not like, if KOC is just like Levis is that guy, I do think they're not the same guy. Like Levis definitely has a different type of confidence compared to Kirk
I mean,
Cousins,
who would ever come out there and say I put mayo in my coffee? Like that takes some.
That's what he said.
That takes some.
Levis?
You're just hearing about this?
Levis?
You're just hearing about this. That Will Levis puts mayo in his coffee. You are just hearing about this. Is the first time you've heard that?
Yeah.
I'm
living under a rock, I guess. I'm living under a rock.
Yeah.
He needs that fat. It's that fat, dude. He needs to get those fat grams in, you know?
And the guy guy has a body sculpted from the gods.
Yeah, the guy is absolutely strapped, and he might be more absolutely strapped than Kirk Cousins. So I mean, he is like 30 years younger than Kirk Cousins.
A lot of people gave Kirk Cousins like shit for that picture. It's like he doesn't look muscular at all. It's like, what are you guys talking about? I thought he had some pretty good abs going on there. I did not expect that from Kirk. I thought he would be a little more don't want to say dad bod, but also, you know, dad bod.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. Like Levis's ego, I don't know, man. It can definitely, something like that can definitely hinder you for sure. Potentially, but at the same time, if you're in the NFL, like I think you have to find that humble, like being able to be humble, like Tom Brady, for instance. Obviously, that dude's confident as hell. Aaron Rodgers is an example of ego, or at least definitely used to be an example of ego that it worked out really well in his favor, right? So Levis could be more like that. I don't know how that kind of ego might work in your relationships, but for NFL quarterback, like having a big ego could be an important thing.
He eats bananas without peeling them.
All right, this guy's crazy.
God, man. Okay, never mind. I'm out.
That's where all the nutrients are, man. That's probably what he's thinking. If that's the case, if he's just worried, he's willing to eat bananas for his body. Like, I'm cool with that. Banana peels for his body, even though I'm pretty sure banana peels are not good to eat, but. He said he was joking about the mayo at pro day. We need to ask JJ who he wants. Happy wife, wide receiver, happy life. Yeah, that's one thing too, is when whoever we go with, obviously, I don't know if there's any signs, you know, if JJ really wanted Kirk around, that extension probably would have already happened. So my guess, he isn't like completely like, oh, Kirk's going to be that guy.
I don't buy that. I don't think that was the conversation.
I think so.
I think this is straight up just the GM, the money man, being like, yeah, I just don't want to. I don't feel like sinking that much money into this guy right now. We'll kind of just.
So if Justin Jefferson went in there and was just like, I want Kirk Cousins. Like Kirk Cousins, I think he's the best chance of winning. I want him to stick around. You don't think that would have played into the GM's decision? No. I think it would have.
No.
I mean, they already mentioned that. He actually said that, you know, of course they're going to be talking to JJ during.
Yeah, but I don't think the conversation was that per se. I don't think it was straight up like, oh, this guy ain't gonna get us anywhere. Get rid of him.
I don't think it was like that, but I don't know if JJ went in there and was like, you know, it could have been obvious if JJ's really happy with Kirk Cousins as his quarterback. Like I think Kwesi, at least they had to have asked for his opinion on the whole situation. I don't think JJ probably threw Kirk under the bus or anything like that. But it probably would have been like, it'd be nice to have like a young quarterback. Kirk is 35 years old. He's only going to get older, you know?
What he probably said is, are you guys going to have enough money to pay me if you keep paying him?
No. Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Like, how are you going to, so can you pay us both? No.
And TJ.
Well, get rid of him. And TJ.
And Christian Darrisaw. Can you do that all under Kirk Cousins? Oh, shit. You're right.
Yeah. We need to get a rookie quarterback. We need